Problem number 10 said, I have a point P, which is located somewhere along the line of AD, and the total length of L is a cable linking P to ABC. So the total length of this is something we can find, and I want to find the minimum value of this up to 2 decimal points. Well, in order to find the total length, I do need to know the length of this, the length of that, and length of this piece add together. So I clearly need to know what exactly is this. So I assume that is x. Therefore, I can find this piece easily because the total length is 5. If this is x, the lower piece must be 5 minus x, right? Or the other way around, I could have called this to be x, and I called that to be 5 minus x. The reason I did this is because this is going to be involved in my calculation for that piece and that piece. So the simpler this notation is, the simpler my calculation would be. If you had called that x, call this 5 minus x, it's still going to work, but your formulation is going to be more complicated. So if I know this piece is x, that is 2, because of Pythagorean theorem, it's square root of x squared plus 2 squared, which is 4. This is square root of x squared plus 3 squared, which is 9. So my total length is 5 minus x add to square root of x squared plus 4 add to square root of x plus 9. So once I have my formulation, I'm pretty much all set. All I'm looking for is to find the smallest value for the summation. Well, clearly my x should be at least 0, at most 5, but that's just a side note I could have. So let's begin to do the calculation. If I were to take the derivative, 5 gives me 0, and I have a negative 1. And then I have square root, so I have 1/2 of x squared plus 4 to the power of negative 1/2 multiply 2x. Add to 1/2 x squared plus 9 to the power of negative 1/2. Multiply the derivative of inside layer. So I end up with negative 1, 2, and 2x cancel out. So it's square root of x squared plus 4x on the top. And then x squared plus 9 square root x on the top. Well, in order to find out when this term is exactly 0, I need to find my common denominator and put everything together. So, okay, not gonna be very pretty. So square root of x squared plus 4, square root of x squared plus 9. So I have minus square root of x plus 4 times x squared plus 9. Add to x times square root of x plus 9. Add to x times square root of x squared plus 4. And then I'm going to try to find out when this derivative is exactly 0. So I will need my numerator to be 0. For my numerator to be 0, I have negative square root of x squared plus 4 square root of x squared plus 9 plus x times square root of x squared plus 9 plus x times square root of x squared plus 4 equals 0. Well, since they clearly want you to find the value with some kind of calculator, because they want you to find the minimum value of L to 2 decimal points. So one thing we can do is we can type into Symbol Lab and ask it to solve for us. So let me try to type it on my computer and see what it works. What we have. So we want to solve for negative square root of x squared plus 4 multiplied by square root of x squared plus 9, and then add to x times square root of x squared plus 4, and then add to square root of x squared plus 9. This whole thing equals 0. Let's see how good Symbol Lab is. Well, it tells me the x, when solved for 0, x is roughly speaking 1.407, right? This is what I end up with. And I can try to find out the derivative sign on the left and right side of it. So if I were to plug in 1, if I were to plug in 2, the derivative when I plug in 1 is -1 add to 1 over root 5 add to 1 over root 10, which is less than 0. L prime of 2 is -1 add to 2 over root 8 add to 2 over root 13. So let's just try to do the calculation very quickly. 2 over root 8 add to 2 over root 13 is roughly speaking 1.26. So -1, it gives me greater than 0. So I can see my function goes like this and goes like that. So at this point, I'm going to reach my local minimum. So when x is this, my L is going to reach my minimum. However, the question didn't ask you when it's going to be minimal. It asks you what exactly is a minimum value. So you're going to plug this back into your L function so as to find it out. So you're going to say what exactly is 5 minus 1.407 add to 1.407 squared add 4 add to 1.407 squared add to a 9. What exactly is that? So let me try to do the calculation with my calculator. 5 minus 1.407 add to square root of 1.407 squared, add a 4 to it, and then add to square root of 1.407 squared, add a 9 to it. So according to that, it gives me, roughly speaking, 9.35188. Well, because it only asks me to keep 2 decimal points, so I'm going to end up with 9.35 as my final answer. 9.35 as my final answer. Okay, so that's how we solve this problem number 10 in the homework.